All right, guys, in this video, we're going to look at Beaverton, Oregon like you've never seen it before. Beaverton is one of the most popular destinations for people who are relocating to the Portland metro area. And in this video, we're going to look at all 20 square miles of Beaverton, all 11 neighborhoods, plus 4 additional neighborhoods that really are kind of considered to be Beaverton. So stick around to the end to see what those areas are. Now, we do a lot of talking in our videos, as you may know, and if this is your first time to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button if you find this video helpful. Really helps us out a lot. In this video, we're going to do a lot less talking and a lot more showing. So this is going to go through every neighborhood of Beaverton, Oregon, and really look at everything in depth. What do these areas actually look like? What is it going to be like living there? If you are looking at a specific neighborhood, if you found a house in an area that looks interesting, you can skip ahead to the chapter labeled by each neighborhood, or watch the whole thing. I mean, this is really going to show you what Beaverton, Oregon is all about. So without further ado, let's check out Beaverton. Hey, what's up everybody? This is Paul Clem with the Home Team Brokers coming to you from Beaverton, Oregon. Again, in this video, we're looking at all things Beaverton. We're gonna look at every neighborhood in depth to really show you what these areas look like. So we're gonna get right into this, but if you are thinking about moving to the Portland metro area, if Beaverton is an area that you are interested in, if you wanna talk more about these areas, in detail, go into what these areas are like and have that conversation, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, or click that link down below in the description of the video and schedule a Zoom call with us. On that call, we can talk about your budget, your timeline, what areas are going to really meet your needs best, and really put together a game plan for you. So with that said, I really hope this video is helpful getting to know Beaverton a bit better. All right, the first area we're going to look at is West Beaverton. So West Beaverton, as you may guess, is all the way on the west side of Beaverton, really central West Beaverton. There's a few corridors that go right through the middle of Beaverton. Farmington, Highway 8, TV Highway. So these roads will take you from Portland, from central Beaverton into West Beaverton. West Beaverton is a really cool neighborhood, flies under the radar a little bit, very wooded, very clean, very well put together, a lot of consistency throughout as you're going through West Beaverton. You're bordered by ELEETE to the north, you have Sexton Mountain to the south, you also have Highland right nearby. The intersection of Murray and Allen is kind of right at the heart of West Beaverton, and then you have all of these residential areas. So this is going to be a middle tier area when you look at price. I'm not necessarily going to go into a ton of detail when it comes to pricing, because those things change over time based on sales, based on appreciation, or God forbid, some depreciation in the market. But West Beaverton, again, as you may guess, on the west side of Beaverton, a very residential area. Definitely a lot of bang for your buck here in West Beaverton. All right, next we're going to look at Sexton Mountain. So this is about as far west and south as you can get. Definitely as far west. There is one area to the south of here, neighbor southwest, which we'll talk about here in a moment. But Sexton Mountain, again, as you may guess, is on a mountain. Very residential area. There's really no commercial development. So this is not an area where you have like a ton of business parks or things like that. Like some other areas of Beaverton, it's less accessible for sure. So you don't have a lot of major roads, thoroughfares coming in and out of this area. So when you look at this in relation to, say, downtown Portland, you're really about as far as you can get, about as buried as you can get in Beaverton, but this is an area that has a lot of nice big homes, some luxury real estate, definitely bang for your buck when you look at price per square foot, things like that. And again, a lot of real estate here is, I think, what a lot of people would consider to be on the nicer end. And, you know, this area is going to fall kind of in the middle range, like a West Beaverton, in terms of median sale price. So a very attainable area, an area that you can get larger homes. But the trade-off is you're not as centrally located as some other areas of Beaverton in regards to, you know, being near the city. All right, next we're going to look at Neighbors Southwest. So this is an area that has really developed over the past couple of decades. There's a brand new high school out here, Mountainside High School, arguably the prettiest high school, the nicest looking campus in all of the Portland metro area, maybe in all of the state of Oregon. So this is a highly desirable area. You get a little bit further out into that edge of the urban growth boundary. So that's where you find the majority of your new construction and new development all around the Portland metro area. This area is certainly no exception. There's a ton of new builds going up as we speak. This is an area that has a lot of character, a lot of trees, a lot of hills, rolling hills, meandering or undulating streets, and nicer, larger, big, more upscale homes. And when you look at price, this area is going to be kind of in the upper middle of the price range when you look at all of Beaverton. So not the most expensive area, but kind of like a Sexton Mountain, it's an area that is further away from a lot of things. You're more buried. Now in Neighbors Southwest, you're really on the north side of Bull Mountain, which is probably the most sought after area of Tigard. And there's an area, a little shopping entertainment area on the north side of Bull Mountain, right in Neighbors Southwest in Beaverton, called Progress Ridge. And there's movie theater, restaurants, tons of shopping, everything that you would need. There's Big Al's, it's like the family fun center, bowling alley. So there's a lot of really cool stuff to do, you know, right in your backyard here in Neighbors Southwest. But again, you're going to be a little bit more buried. And this really is as far south and west as you can get in Beaverton. So really nice area. Starts to touch a little bit on the higher end in terms of pricing. You are a little bit buried, but this area really does check a lot of boxes for people. All right, next we're going to look at West Slope. So West Slope is a neighborhood in the northeast part of Beaverton, about as far north as you can get in Beaverton and about as far east inside of 217. So there's a couple neighborhoods in Beaverton that are inside of 217. Everything else is west of 217. That's the majority of where that's where the majority of Beaverton is. But West Slope, right on Highway 26, you're on the backside of the West Hills. If you get on Highway 26 and go up and over the hill, you're right into downtown Portland. So West Slope is the closest neighborhood in Beaverton to downtown Portland. So it's really a Southwest Portland neighborhood in a lot of ways. Officially, it's a Beaverton neighborhood, but you know, the age, the style, and the proximity to Portland lives a lot more like a Portland neighborhood. This is all mid-century modern. You're looking at single-level ranch style or ranch style with daylight basements, but larger homes. You know, a lot of ranch style homes are like 1,500 to 2,000 square feet. In West Slope, you're looking at 2,500, 3,500 plus square feet, and really cool architecture of the era. Ton of great landscaping. That's another thing you notice going around West Slope is people take really good care of their yards here. This is an area that, especially if you're looking to be close to Portland, especially if you're looking for a little bit of mid-century modern, a little bit of an older character in a home, this is going to be a really cool area to look at. Now, the median sale price is definitely on the higher end, top 3, top 4 of all neighborhoods in Beaverton. Close to Portland, cool old architecture, well cared for. Those things are always going to be a recipe for a little bit of a higher price. But West Slope is definitely a really popular area. All right, next on the list is Five Oaks. So Five Oaks is on this Cornell and Walker corridor running from east to west or west to east. But if you're coming from Cedar Hills, it is just west. So the next neighborhood west of Cedar Hills is going to be Five Oaks. So if you like Cedar Hills, if you want an area that's a little newer in terms of the development, larger homes on average, a little more of an upscale feel too, Five Oaks is going to be a great spot to end up. You're right there, still close to Highway 26, so you can get into Portland still pretty quickly, pretty easily. You can get into Cedar Hills very easily, still very, very close to Nike in Five Oaks as well. And really, the biggest highlight of Five Oaks is this development called Waterhouse. Several hundred homes, might be over 1,000 homes, I'm not exactly sure, but this is an enormous housing development, one of the largest for sure in all of Beaverton, that takes up really the majority of Five Oaks. And again, larger homes on average. The price is going to be kind of in that middle to upper tier in terms of cost. So you can definitely get some good bang for your buck here. You're a little bit further away from Portland, and that's where you start to see some break on pricing generally. But again, still very close, very conveniently located to access a lot of things that you would need in your day-to-day. So Five Oaks is an area that definitely stands out to a lot of people. All right, next on the list is Triple Creek. So Triple Creek, one of the things that really sticks out to me is the median sale price is in that lower quadrant when you look at all of Beaverton. So one of the more affordable areas, but you do see a high volume of townhomes and condos in this area. You do have some of that Waterhouse development that you have in Five Oaks as well. So you get a really big contrast, or rather a really big range, and a sharp contrast, driving around Triple Creek in terms of what you get for real estate. So you're on that Walker-Cornell corridor, running east to west, still close to Highway 26, just a little bit further west than Five Oaks, but still close into like Cedar Hills, for example. Probably one of the bigger highlights of Triple Creek is that you are butting up against Tanasbourne. So Tanasbourne is kind of a buffer between Beaverton and Hillsborough on the north side. And there's a big outdoor mall there, big open air mall. There's a lot of shops and restaurants, grocery stores. You have the Kaiser Hospital there. So there's a lot right there in Tanasbourne, a lot of business parks. So if you're moving to the area for work, very well, could end up working in that area. So Triple Creek is a little bit closer to some of what you can get west of you, again, like Tanasbourne and even into Hillsborough. But definitely an area that has potential for a lot of people, again, especially if you're looking for a townhome or a condo, but you can find some nice big homes in there as well. All right, next we're going to talk about Highland, and in my opinion, Highland is the biggest hidden gem in all of Beaverton. You are right square in the middle of Beaverton, south of downtown Beaverton, but nothing like the busy commercial areas of downtown Beaverton. Very wooded, probably the most densely wooded area in Beaverton. At least that's what it feels like driving around. You have the Highland Forest Park in Highland, so this is a really big forest that you can go hike through right in the middle of the neighborhood. Very cool. This neighborhood feels a little bit like West Beaverton, Sexton Mountain in a way in terms of how wooded it is, but cool older homes. This is probably developed mostly around the 70s. This is an area that's going to be right square in the middle in terms of price though. So larger homes on average, you know, bigger single family homes. You see a lot of homes, again, built in the 70s, so a lot of like split levels and things like that. But there's a lot of homes that do have a lot of character. Tree-lined streets, more so than anywhere else in Beaverton, I would say. And big, beautiful, old growth trees, a lot of diversity in the tree species too. It's really cool. If you are in this area, you got to drive down Hart Road. You know, that'll really give you the visual, the aesthetic for Highland. And again, pretty conveniently located. So you're a little bit more central in downtown Beaverton, so you can get on Farmington or TV Highway, you know, and get up into Portland. You can access 217 very quickly, very easily from here. Washington Square Mall is close by. This is an area that definitely stands out to a lot of people once they look at it. And for good reason. Again, in my opinion, biggest hidden gem in Beaverton. All right, moving right along. Next, we're going to talk about Greenway. So Greenway borders this enormous green space along the Fano Creek. The Fano Creek Trail runs a lot through Tigard, some through Beaverton right there in the Greenway neighborhood. You have some commercial areas, industrial areas right along 217 there, and then there's a kind of a narrow strip of neighborhood in Greenway. This is an area that's similar to Highland, South Beaverton, developed around the same time. You're going to get a lot of similarity in terms of size of homes, price, style, and just kind of the overall type of living that you get in this central South Beaverton area. So Greenway, again, you have Greenway Park, which is awesome. It's a great place to be able to get out and walk around. They have a disc golf course there. You're really close to 217, so you're basically butting up right on the freeway. So if you need to get 217 north up to 26 into Portland, or 217 south down to I-5, into Lake Oswego, into Tigard, into Tualatin, whatever it may be, very accessible, you know, very good location as far as, you know, commuting, really in any direction that you would need to go. You'll get a little diversity here in terms of the tree species. So you'll see a lot of deciduous trees. So like Highland, West Beaverton, Sexton Mountain, these are areas that have a lot of fir trees, you know, pine trees, evergreens, things like that. You see a lot of deciduous trees in Greenway. So it's a cool contrast compared to some other neighborhoods. A lot of similarities, but some differences aesthetically. This is an area that, again, you know, I think really could check a lot of boxes for people. It's going to skew toward kind of the middle or lower middle in terms of pricing. So it's going to be a little bit more affordable, more bang for your buck here than in some other areas of Beaverton. All right, next we're going to talk about South Beaverton. So I've broken up Beaverton in this video, probably, and in other videos, into three primary areas. The north side, really everything north of Highway 26, and we'll talk about that. The central Beaverton neighborhoods and the southern Beaverton neighborhoods. So there's a few neighborhoods in the southern third of Beaverton, but there's actually a neighborhood called South Beaverton, which is what we're looking at right now. So South Beaverton is going to be very, very similar to Greenway. It's really interchangeable. You know, if you're driving around Greenway and you end up going into South Beaverton or vice versa, it's going to be really hard to tell the difference. Now, on the north side of South Beaverton, you get into Highland. So you get into some of those big, tall evergreen trees. You have that Highland Forest Park right there. And so it's going to have a little bit of a different feel aesthetically than Greenway, but overall, really very, very similar. Developed around the same time. It's going to be very similar in terms of price. So again, Highland, Greenway, South Beaverton, very similar to each other aesthetically and as far as the type and style of homes that you can get and the pricing. All right, next we're going to talk about Denney Whitford. So this is a really small neighborhood inside of 217. So it's on the Portland side of 217. So you're butting up against a lot of unincorporated Washington County and ultimately butting up against the Portland border in Southwest Portland. Again, you're right on 217. So very conveniently located. You're just north of Washington Square Mall. You're just east of Greenway. And Vose, actually. So across 217, you could get into Vose, and then in Greenway, those areas that we've talked about already. A lot of mid-century modern here. So Greenway, South Beaverton, developed a little more in the 70s, maybe late 60s, 70s. Denney Whitford, rather, along the Shoals Ferry corridor is going to be developed more in like the 50s, maybe early 60s. So you get more of that mid-century style. Definitely a lot of character here. You have Camille Park right in the middle of this neighborhood. Really nice big open park. You have a couple of schools here. This is definitely an area that stands out to a lot of people. Again, it's pretty small, but for your location, for just the overall look of things, you know, the types of homes that you can get, again, tends to be a pretty popular area. And you're going to skew a little more affordable, just like Greenway and South Beaverton. So inside of 217, again, you're really close to everything in Southwest Portland and then ultimately getting into Portland. And so usually if you're further away from Portland, it gets a little bit more affordable, but Denney Whitford is a little bit of an exception here. You're closer to Portland and you're still kind of right in the middle or bottom middle of kind of the affordability scale when you look at Beaverton overall. So this is an area that really could work for a lot of people. All right, next on the list is Raleigh West. So Raleigh Hills is an area that you've probably heard about. We've done a video on it. I'll link to it right here. Very popular area in unincorporated Washington County, basically Southwest Portland, but you're just over the county line. And there's a section of Raleigh Hills that's called Raleigh West, and it's officially a Beaverton neighborhood. It's actually in Beaverton. So that's really the only difference there. Everything that's desirable about Raleigh Hills, you're going to find that in Raleigh West, and that's why this is going to be really in the top 3 in terms of pricing and most expensive neighborhoods in Beaverton. So really, really cool old architecture. I mean, a lot of older, 40s, 50s builds, things like that. Larger homes on average, larger lots on average as well. So you get a lot of quarter acre, even a little bit larger at times, which a lot of people really tend to enjoy. The newer the developments, the smaller the lots typically, on average at least. And so Raleigh West, kind of like Denney Whitford, you're inside of 217, so very attractive for people who want to be close to Portland or close into Southwest Portland to be able to get some of those Southwest Portland amenities, being able to get to Multnomah Village and up into Hillsdale and some of the cool spots that are in Southwest Portland. And again, Raleigh West, it's going to be a lot like Raleigh Hills. You have a community pool in Raleigh Hills that you can access, the library. So there's a lot that Raleigh West has to offer. Jesuit High School is right there within kind of the boundaries of the neighborhood. Again, your biggest trade-off here is on price. You can get larger homes on average, so the price per square foot might not be awful, but you are going to end up paying more living in Raleigh West than just about any other neighborhood in Beaverton. All right, next we're going to look at Cedar Hills. So Cedar Hills, one of the most popular areas to live in Beaverton, no doubt about it. There is a ton of new commercial development, great restaurants. You have the Family Fun Center, Kingpins, kind of like a Big Al's and Neighbor Southwest. So you have a ton of things to do right in Cedar Hills. Now, the Cedar Hills neighborhood is really kind of on the north side of this little entertainment commercial district and just south of Highway 26. You also have Nike World headquarters right there on the west side of Cedar Hills. So this is an area that a lot of people relocating to the Portland metro area for work, if they're going to be working at Nike, Cedar Hills is going to be an area that, you know, comes up on the radar pretty quickly. Now, fun fact about Cedar Hills is actually unincorporated Washington County, like a couple of other areas that we're going to look at. So Cedar Hills, technically not Beaverton, but you are right there in central Beaverton. You're in Beaverton school districts. You're in the Tualatin Valley Parks and Rec district. So everything about living in Beaverton that you would have in official Beaverton neighborhoods, you have right there in Cedar Hills. Again, this is a really cool centrally located area. You're just west of West Slope, so you're really still very close to downtown Portland. So if you want to be able to get into the city from time to time, if you want a nice suburban area that's a little more bustling with more restaurants and things to do, Cedar Hills is going to be a great landing spot. All right, next we're going to talk about Central Beaverton and Vose. These are two areas that we're going to talk about in the same category. I'll explain why. There's a few other areas in Beaverton, a few neighborhoods that really kind of could be coupled together, like Five Oaks and Triple Creek to some degree, like Greenway and South Beaverton. We'll talk more about that. But Central Beaverton itself is mostly commercial. So this is downtown Beaverton. This is butting up against Cedar Hills on the north side, and then on the south side of Central Beaverton and a little bit to the east, you have Vose. So the residential area in Central Beaverton and Vose, definitely more modest, more flat, laid out on a grid. It reminds me of neighborhoods that you might find in southeast or northeast Portland in a lot of ways. So smaller homes on average, older homes on average for sure. This is going to be the most affordable neighborhood in Beaverton. In my opinion, this is an area where investors have a lot of opportunity because downtown Beaverton is booming like crazy. I mean, my whole life growing up and even 10, 15 years ago, downtown Beaverton was kind of dead. You know, there wasn't a lot going on, a few restaurants and a few old mainstays that are still there, which is cool. But over the past 5-10 years, a ton of restaurants, breweries coming in from Portland, opening locations in downtown Beaverton. You have the BG food carts in Central Beaverton as well, which is arguably the best food cart pod in the Portland metro area, which is saying a lot because we have a ton. So Central Beaverton, downtown Beaverton, there's a ton to do. It's a really cool entertainment district. It's definitely really family friendly. I think if you're a young professional on the younger side, it's going to have some appeal, but you see people of all ages frequenting these coffee shops and bars and restaurants and things in downtown Beaverton. So a lot to offer there. Again, right in Central Beaverton and Vose, going to be a little bit more modest, much more attainable in terms of affordability for sure. So downsizing or first-time buyers, this would be a really popular space. Or if you're really looking to maximize upside, again, just my opinion, this is an area that is going to become more and more desirable because of the kind of urban residential dynamic that it has. told you we had some bonus areas for you. We're gonna talk about Cedar Mill, Oak Hills, and Bethany. Primarily because, again, these are areas that are in the Beaverton School District and really by and large considered to be Beaverton. Now, in a lot of these areas, you're gonna have a Portland address. That's gonna be the same with Raleigh Hills too. So I linked to that video on Raleigh Hills. We talked about Raleigh West, a lot of similarity in those areas, but north of Highway 26, starting with Cedar Mill, then into Bethany and Oak Hills, you're really in areas that feel like Beaverton, although unofficially, again, you're in Washington County, Beaverton schools, Beaverton fire, water, libraries, parks and rec, all of that good stuff. So starting with Cedar Mill is West Hills living, big, nice luxury homes, a lot newer than a lot of other areas in Beaverton. It's going to be very similar to Neighbors Southwest on the southernmost point of Beaverton. So in Cedar Mill, really the biggest difference is you probably have a little more elevation as far as being on the backside of those West Hills there, but in Cedar Mill, you're really close to Portland. You're just up and over the hill from downtown Portland. So if you want to be close in to be able to get to Portland, either to commute for work, getting to sporting events, or just events that go on throughout the year, or just entertainment, restaurants, bars, all the cool stuff that Portland has to offer, Cedar Mill is going to be a fantastic option. Again, compared to like a Neighbors Southwest, which is going to be more affordable, but very similar, it's going to be a lot further away from downtown Portland. So Cedar Mill, definitely going to be in kind of that top middle in terms of pricing. You can get pretty good bang for your buck here as far as the actual homes that you get, but on average, you're going to be spending more. All right, next, Oak Hills. So this is an area that really flies under the radar. I think most people, again, especially Oak Hills, are really going to consider this to be a Beaverton neighborhood. Beaverton School District feeds into Westview. You are just north of Five Oaks and Triple Creek. You're just south of Bethany. You're right on Highway 26. So, maybe 7-8 miles from downtown Portland. With traffic, you could be 30 minutes, but you're right on Highway 26. So again, still you can get into the city pretty quickly, pretty easily. Oak Hills is legendary. I think it's on the National Historic Registry. A lot of really cool mid-century modern homes, but for the age of the neighborhood, late 50s, 60s, and some newer builds here and there. Being kind of this master planned HOA community with really great amenities, park and walking trails and greenways and things like that. Definitely of the era, not something you saw as much of, and something that's really stood the test of time. This is an area that is totally thriving. People hold out to live in Oak Hills. People will wait for the right house in Oak Hills to pop up because they are so dead set on living there. So again, really popular area. It's going to skew higher on price. And the homes aren't necessarily as big as some other areas in Beaverton too. So your price per square foot is going to be higher in Oak Hills. You're paying a little bit more on average, but you really get this community sense. In Oak Hills, there's a little bit of a bubble around it. Probably engaging with your neighbors, community events, annual events, things that happen like that, throughout the year. Probably more so than a lot of other areas in Beaverton. All right, next and finally, Bethany. So Bethany is a very, very popular area, especially for people relocating from out of state, looking for a nice, clean, relatively new, safe area with good schools, close to work. So a lot of people relocating to the Portland metro area, working on the west side of Portland in the Silicon Forest or at Nike or, you know, in any of the number of businesses that are in Beaverton or Hillsborough. Bethany is north of Beaverton and Hillsborough. Again, Beaverton School District and unincorporated Washington County. And this is an area that has been consistently, you know, pushing the urban growth boundary. So as the urban growth boundary has expanded on this north and west side, really of the metro area, but in this case of Beaverton, you know, Bethany has continued to grow and develop. So really over the past 20, maybe 30 years, most of this is going to be pretty new. So driving around Bethany, you know, you get the feeling that this is all developed very recently, sidewalks and walking trails and green spaces and, you know, kind of a central little village where you have some great shopping and restaurants and bars and things like that. So really cool area that also I think has a little bit of a bubble around it. You are pretty far from Portland, even though you're close to Highway 26, or you can even get on Skyline and go through the West Hills into downtown Portland. You're quite a bit further than, you know, anywhere else on this kind of northern section of Beaverton, even Oak Hills, but especially like a Cedar Mill, Cedar Hills, and West Slope being the closest. So getting into Portland, you know, is still relatively easy. That's also not necessarily a priority for everybody moving to the Portland metro area. And again, there's so much that Beaverton as a whole, and Hillsborough too, has to offer. Don't forget you have Tannisbourne, that big outdoor mall right there, close to Bethany as well. You know, that Bethany ends up being a really attractive landing spot for a lot of people. All right, folks, so there you have it. That is Beaverton. That is every neighborhood in Beaverton covered. Now, if you want to talk more about any of these neighborhoods, if you want to learn more about maybe other suburbs in the Portland metro area that offer something similar or offer something completely different, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, click the link down below in the description of the video, schedule a Zoom call with us. No matter how you decide to get a hold of us, we would love to help with your move to the Portland metro area. If this video was helpful, make sure to hit the like button. That helps us out a lot. If you want to get more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, tap the little bell to get notified every time we drop a new video. As always, we really appreciate you watching. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.